With our gospel reading today, I want to focus on the primacy of Peter, the primacy of love, and a command. So first, the primacy of Peter. If you ever have the chance to go to the Holy Land, there is a beautiful, beautiful place right along the Sea of Galilee. It's called the primacy of Peter. And you walk through this gorgeous garden on your way down to the shore of the lake. And of course, as you walk through the garden, you imagine that whatever's at the lake is going to be amazingly beautiful. And of course, you get to the lake and you see this rather ugly church. It's made out of basalt, and so basalt's this black volcanic stone. The church doesn't have a whole lot of beauty to it, and it's not particularly attractive inside or out. But it marks the spot where Jesus today in the gospel cooked breakfast for his disciples and asked Peter 3 times, "Do you love me?" And in fact, inside this church, there's even a stone that's called the Mensa Christi. And so it's believed to be the stone that Jesus actually prepared breakfast on. Now, the thing about the Holy Land you have to keep in mind is, okay, it might have been that stone, but if it wasn't that stone, it was a stone within 10 or 15 feet of that stone. So it doesn't really matter whether or not that stone is the stone. What matters is that Jesus on this shore greeted his disciples, cooked breakfast for them, and then elevated Peter to his primacy among the apostles. Now, why does that matter? Well, it matters because as Catholics, we've always recognized the primacy of Peter. We've always recognized Peter as the leader of the apostles. And that's why we are Roman Catholics, because Peter was martyred in Rome, and it's the site of his martyrdom where the church gathered together and prayed and recognized the importance of that leadership among the apostles. Now, why is Peter so important in his leadership role? Well, the primacy of Peter isn't because Peter always got it right. We see in the Gospels time and time again and in the Acts of the Apostles where Peter didn't always get it right. And so the doctrine of infallibility doesn't mean Peter can't make a mistake, but it means that he holds the unity of the church together in its teaching so that it teaches faith and morals without error. Now that matters. Why does that matter? Well, the whole world is fascinated with the conclave, right? Not the movie, that's a piece of trash. But they're fascinated with the coming conclave. They're fascinated because the Catholic Church still has moral authority in the world. It still teaches faith and morals with an unbroken tradition. It still proclaims to the world a set of values that are different than what the rest of the world holds up as the source of happiness. And that's why I know who the next pope is going to be. You want me to tell you? It's pretty cool. So here's how I figured it out. The next pope is going to be the one who loves Jesus. That's what we see in the gospel, right? That's what made Peter the primate among his brothers, his love for the Lord. It wasn't his failures that made him the leader of the apostles. It was his love. It was his ability to love Jesus and his humility. So think about this. Think about the people in your life that you love and that love you. And if one of them came up to you and said, "Do you love me?" You'd say, "Well, of course I do." And if they said it a second time, you'd say, "Yeah, are we okay?" And if they said it a third time, you'd say, "What is your problem?" But Peter understood exactly what was taking place. He understood that it wasn't his failure, it was his humble love that was going to allow him to be faithful. It was his love informed by his own weakness that allowed him over and over again to say, "Yes, Lord, I love you." And you know what? That's important for us too, because we fail too, and we fail over and over again. We need to know that failure is not what defines us. It's how we respond to failure. And Peter responded to his failure with love. And not just any love, but a humble love. Now, one of the things I love about being pastor of a parish that has a school is sometimes kids will do kid art, and I love kid art, that's always awesome, and sometimes they'll write notes. And notes are also very awesome. And so one day, totally unprovoked, a little child, about 6 years old, came up and handed me a little note she had written. And it said, "I love Jesus, I love the church, I love Father David, you are loved, Evelyn." It's pretty awesome, right? Love can change your day. Love can change the world. And that's why the primacy of love is what is the central focus of our faith. The primacy of love, and not just silly love, not just love that says, "I love you, so I'm going to let you do whatever you want," but real love. Love that loves enough to speak truth in the midst of love and to hold up the truths that we know to be eternal. The truth that God loved us so much that he came into our lives in order to save us from sin and death. The love that has shaped us our entire life, from the moment of our conception to the moment of our death, is that love of God that is constantly reaching out to us. And so when we experience a love like that, the natural reaction is to return love. And that's why the command that Jesus gives to Peter and to us is to follow me. And follow me means let your life be conformed to my life. Let your life look like mine. Let your life be offered to the world as a gift of love. And so as we celebrate these scriptures on this third Sunday of Easter, we continue walking in that mystery of God's love and recognizing how our love for the Lord calls us into action, calls us to be followers of Christ who reach out in love to the world around us.